Behind me is one of our $10 million plus flips here in Las Vegas. Now, a lot of them have been going really well. We've been making some good money, but this one didn't go as planned. So I want to explain to you why that happened and kind of the thought process behind why we did what we did. So let me show you. All right. By the way, if you're new to this channel, my name is Ryan Pineda. I'm a real estate investor and entrepreneur here in Las Vegas. I flipped hundreds of homes. We own almost 500 rental units, so we do a lot of real estate. Now, we just recently got into flipping luxury homes. It's not something that I've done in the years past, but with this market being so crazy, we decided to start buying a ton of these because they're appreciating so much. And this house is a perfect example of a home I would not have bought in years past, but I decided to take a chance on. So this home is in South Las Vegas and it is over 3,300 square feet. Now, one of the big selling points of this home is that it's on a half-acre lot and it's in a gated community. All are very desirable here in Vegas. Now, the reason this flip was tough for us is because it was actually in good shape. You see, when a house is totally old and beat up, you know you gotta rip out everything and replace it all, and you can kind of figure out what you're gonna sell it for. This is the case with the majority of our other luxury flips. But this house is pretty new, as you could tell from the outside, and it already had so many things that were in great shape. For example, this floor is exactly how we bought it. These cabinets are the same cabinets we had when we bought it. And so you start looking at this kind of stuff and you say, well, yeah, is it kind of dated in today's standard? Maybe, but do I need to really get rid of all this tile that's in perfect condition? Do I need to get rid of these cabinets that are in perfect condition? And the answer is, it really depends what you want to sell it for and how big of a risk do you want to take. So for example, we could have taken this home in 3 different ways. For one, we could have tried to sell it as is. It was already in livable condition. Yeah, it needed paint and needs some other things, but overall we could have tried to sell it as is or did a very light touch up. The middle ground would have been doing things like changing countertops, potentially changing a bathroom, but still, it's already in good shape. The high-end option would have been completely tearing out everything, redoing the floors, brand new kitchen, new everything. And I just felt like with how great of an area this is in Las Vegas, looking at the other comps, it wasn't gonna be a very wise decision to try and go full-blown rehab. And one of the reasons that I felt that way is because with luxury flips, you have really high holding costs. Your hard money loan is really expensive, so your property taxes are more. And so if you could get the property on the market quicker, it's probably gonna be better for you. And along with that, when I bought this home, we were going into the winter. So I said, if we can get this thing listed before the winter when things slow down, we're gonna be able to save on holding costs. If we end up having to hold this thing throughout the winter, then we're gonna end up losing a lot of that momentum and those buyers that are buying before that. So I just said, you know what? Let's do the bare minimum option. Let's try and spend like $20,000. Let's repaint the house. Let's fix some of the really ugly things. For instance, like these pillars. There were some weird like paint that was like brown, and I don't even know how to describe it. There was all this stone on the wall that didn't really look that good. And I said, let's just get rid of all that. Let's make it a little more modern and we'll repaint it. We'll get new stuff like this carpet and let's throw it back on the market. So that's exactly what we did. As far as numbers go, we bought this house for $840,000 and there was multiple comps. I thought that it could sell for anywhere between $1 million to $1.1 million, but the fact of the matter is the market is so hot right now that we're just trying to overprice everything because people are paying for it. So what we ended up doing was the bare minimum, and we tried to get top dollar. And I'm not saying that that was the wrong thing, but you can't really press your luck both ways. You can try and do a smaller rehab, but to try and get top dollar while doing a smaller rehab is a tough feat. And I would argue that that was probably one of our biggest mistakes. I don't think that going the small rehab was the big mistake. I think that trying to do both was a mistake. If we were to try and go for top dollar, we should have just renovated the whole place, but Then again, the market is so hot. Normally I would never have done that, but I'm like, well, let's just give it a shot. You just never know in today's market what's gonna happen. And before we continue with the rest of the house, if you have not heard, we just launched a brand new YouTube channel for Future Flipper. We're releasing real estate only content on that channel. So every single day, you've got some of my students, my coaches, myself, making videos on how to flip, wholesale, buy rentals, apartments, Airbnbs, you name it. That channel is 100% real estate. So if that's something you're into and you like this kind of content, you have to subscribe to that channel. So do it. So after doing the bare minimum and listing it for 1.2 million, it kind of sat there. We did not get offers on it, and 1.2 would have kind of been the highest comp in the neighborhood. There were other comps at 1 to 1.1 million, but I felt like with how clean it was outside and this backyard, which I'm in now, it could potentially get it. In Las Vegas, having yards this big is pretty rare. I mean, there's not many houses I've flipped that have a full basketball court. My house is the only one I know that has a court. This pool is obviously pretty new. It's got that modern design, it's good size. I mean, it's a great pool. They also did a really good job with this fire pit. We literally didn't touch anything in this backyard, you know? We should have replaced the net on the hoop, but nonetheless, I felt like this backyard was gonna be what sold the home, not necessarily the inside. I felt like if the inside was livable, the backyard was gonna attract somebody who was looking for something unique like this. So we priced it at 1.2. We did not get offers, and we had a choice to make. The property was sitting on the market for a few months. You know, we did a couple of price drops, and we weren't getting the traffic we wanted. And so we said, you know what? Let's take it off the market and let's do the next level up renovation. Instead of doing the bare minimum, let's do that middle tier renovation. After taking it off the market, we upgraded a few of the things. One of the big ones was this countertop. So on the original house, it had, you know, one of those brown granites that, you know, kind of look outdated. And we said, you know what, we'll put a nice quartz right here, kind of put that throughout the house, give it a better, more modern feel. And this should help sell it. We did a couple of other small things that, you know, you see today with this house flip. It still has a ton of the original stuff. And if you've ever watched some of my other flip videos, I always say, I never like to be in the middle. I always like to be on one end or the other. I want to fully flip it, or I want to just sell it as is. But this house was so difficult because it's in really good shape as is, and there are comps selling in similar shape. But, you know, at the end of the day, the market will tell you what something is worth. I do believe that had we priced it lower initially, we could have definitely got a good offer. If we would have came in priced at 1.1 million or 1,050,000, I do think that we could have got that and saved a lot of money in holding cost and not had to spend more on renovation, but it is what it is. I mean, that's house flipping. Sometimes you make mistakes and, you know, you got to kind of just go with what you think's going to work. And then if it doesn't, you got to adjust. Long story short, after a few months of being on the market and having all these holding costs, we take it off. We put this renovation in, and then we relist it with this new, you know, flip. Eventually, we end up accepting an offer for $1,050,000. Like I said, you know, that I think we could have got originally, but, you know, we had to do it after waiting months of hard money and adding more renovation. And, you know, even with that, we're still going to make a profit. When you add the numbers up, we bought it for $840,000 and we put about $50,000 in renovation cost. But the big thing eating us up is our holding cost. You know, we've had this property for, I'd guess, almost 8 or 9 months now. So if we have a property for 9 months at, say, $8,000 a month holding cost, that's 70 grand right there just in hard money payments. And that was actually the reason I tried to flip it, you know, with the bare minimum, because I knew that our payments were so expensive. So I was just trying to be in and out of it in a few months. But, you know, it didn't work out, mainly because we overlisted it and, you know, we did the bare minimum, and it is what it is. We don't make the right decisions every time. And actually, I don't even want to say that we didn't make the right decision, because there is an alternative scenario where we go and gut everything and maybe we spend $150,000 on this place and then we go to list it for 1.2 and, you know, we don't get it. Or we end up making the same because the renovation costs so much. The timeline to get it done got extended, and at the end of the day, it ends up being the same profit margin regardless. Like that very well could have happened. So, you know, for me, anytime I can make a profit, I am gonna be very happy. I've been through so many flips where I've lost money that anytime I break even at a bare minimum, I count my blessings because I've been through it. Which brings me to another point. I actually didn't explain this at the start of the video, but I have a JV partner on this house. So somebody brought us this deal, and originally they wanted me to buy it straight up from them. I don't even remember what they offered it to me for, but it was too much. And I said, hey, I don't think this house is gonna get more than 1 million to 1.1, depending on what you do. I know that there is a comp for 1.2, but I think it's kind of an outlier. And you know, he was trying to use the 1.2 to justify what, you know, he was asking for the home. And I said, I'm not paying that much. If you can get someone to pay for it at that price, then you should sell it to them. Well, he couldn't. And eventually he came back and I said, look, I don't know what this house is gonna sell for. It's very, who knows, which is kind of why we're in the predicament we're in. It kind of played out how I thought it might play out. Very much, there's a wide range of possibilities. And I said, look, I'll joint venture with you. We'll have a profit split. And if it does great, then we both win. That way, you know, you're not getting hosed right now, and I'm not just paying you based on the worst case scenario. If we get best case scenario, you make more money. But if we do hit worst case scenario, then, you know, I'm not over here losing money, because if I were to have paid him, you know, what he was asking for the property originally, I would have lost money on this house, okay? So we end up going into this joint venture together, and, you know, we list it for 1.2. You know, he's really excited. He hasn't done many flips. And I said, we'll see what happens. Like, I'll list it at whatever. I don't really care. Like, hopefully we get it. Doesn't work out. We're sitting. And, you know, we end up redoing it and doing it. And then eventually, you know, we take this offer for, you know, $1.05 million. And, you know, after all these months of waiting and all this different renovation, at $1.05 million, you know, we'll probably make anywhere from 60 to 70K, you know, net profit that we're going to end up splitting. And, you know, for him, he was really disappointed in it. And he called me and, you know, he was upset. And I said, look here, dude, like many of you know my personality on YouTube. I kind of didn't really have any sympathy for him. And I just said, dude, you're making money on the flip. Okay. First off, anytime you make money, you count your blessings and be grateful, because I've experienced losing hundreds of thousands of dollars. So I'm never going to, you know, throw a fit over making money. But number two, this is exactly why I joint ventured, right? Because I didn't know how this was gonna play out. There was so many different ways that it could have happened with, you know, the market going into the winter, what kind of rehab we do, the holding costs. Like, I typically never JV with people because I know exactly what something's gonna sell for. If I know it's a good deal, I don't take a JV partner, I just go and buy it. But the fact that this was so unknown, I said, look, we win together if we win, we lose together if we lose. And I think we hit our worst case scenario, which was making, you know, $60,000 to $70,000 that we're gonna split. And to me, even though it's not ideal on a property that, you know, costs this much, and, you know, we could have potentially made more if we maybe made a different decision, I definitely ain't gonna cry about it, because I love anytime I make money on a house flip. But anyways, that's the story of this luxury flip. Like I said, they do not all end up as planned, and every time you jump into a house like this, you always have multiple decisions you have to make that could drastically impact the timeline, how much your profit is, how much more risk you're gonna have in the deal, how much more capital you're gonna put in the deal. And you gotta make your best decision and roll with it. And if it doesn't work out, then you adjust and move forward and move on. So that's kind of what I told our partner, and you know, keep that in mind if you are ever flipping a house like this. And also, if you want to learn how to flip houses, I've got thousands of students all across the country at Future Flipper. People are doing luxury flips like this, entry-level homes, mobile homes, condos, you name it. We're flipping houses everywhere. We're buying rentals and wholesaling and doing some cool stuff. So if you want to work with our team and be coached by me directly, you can apply for a free consultation at futureflipper.com and join the squad. So thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next one.